We are having Dr. Thomas, and we had him last year, and we're having him today again. And the reason why I feel like it was very important to have him here again was because he spoke on the topic the previous time, and I knew that was very important. He was very detailed about that section, so I thought, okay, it was very important to have him join us today. So, Dr. Thomas, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be here. Miracle, can you just tell me a little bit about your audience? Who are in the room, in the space, following us?
Okay. Okay, very good. So we have people from LinkedIn joining us.
Hmm.
We have from Nigeria, we have from Ghana, we have from Kenya, and where else do we have? Where else? We have from the US. We have partly people
Hmm.
from the US. We have we have students. We have undergraduates. We have graduates.
Uh
We
huh.
have working class individuals. We also have we have we have
Fantastic.
founders that just
Yeah.
like to be they just like to be behind the scenes. So currently they're
Yeah.
behind the scene watching us right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I understand you asked me to do a little bit like a deeper dive into emotions. Yes. And how is this related to our leadership? And how much do we have time for that topic?
35 minutes. 35 minutes.
Okay. Okay. 35 minutes. Uh,
Yep.
is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So at first, I just would like to say to start that just to set the scene and a little bit like put the definitions right. So what are emotions? These are like our kind of automatic biological responses generated by the brain and body, and they happen before we think, and that is like really important in the background. And it involves us, changes in heart rate, breathing, muscle tension, hormones. But feelings, then, these are our like mental interpretations we create about these emotions, and that's really important to separate at first. And if we, you know, think about from triggers to clarity, so how do we manage this, and how do we lead better? Then I think it's important also to point out that yes, we need to know our purpose, we need to know our direction, we need to know the process, we need to know the progress, but also really important, you can be absolutely perfect in all these dimensions, but if you cannot communicate, then that doesn't make any sense. So you perhaps has like you have 5% of your success based on your titles, like what is on your um, little patch here, and perhaps 15% comes from your actual skills, but the rest is all about communication, and that is all based on an emotional intelligence. How does that make sense in your thinking? So you see, for any person, uh, if we think about that aspect, the basic underlying characteristic, dimension, skill is actually how good we are in self-awareness. And I would like to you know take a little bit deeper dive into that today. So what is emotional intelligence? It's when you are able to watch yourself, understand why you are behaving the way you are, and also decide whether this kind of behavior is actually most useful in the moment. So it kind of needs like zooming in and out, and that is a skill that can be learned. And when we now think about emotional intelligence, then we have self-awareness. Uh, if we are not self-aware, we are disconnected from the present, and then we have awareness of others. So we could be empathetic on one end or insensitive in another end. Uh, Also, one of those core competencies is authenticity. So, are you genuine or untrustworthy in the other end? And from leadership perspective, it's really important also to have this kind of emotional reasoning skill. So it could be from limited to expansive. And then it comes to self-management. It could be like temperamental, a lot of emotions, a lot of reactions, a lot of reactivity, to kind of resilient. And in the end, we create positive influence. So it could be empowering or indifferent. So these are like muscles. And we fall into, if we fall into unproductive states, then emotional intelligence helps us to recognize that quickly and change the approach. How does that land?
I was gonna ask if I could ask a question while you were speaking, or how do you want it? Do you want it to probably I could ask a question while you were speaking?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can have a
Okay,
conversation. Yeah.
very good, very good.
Otherwise, I'm
So,
just talking. I can talk endlessly. This is so interesting topic for
I
me.
mean, exactly, exactly. So, you just made mention of something, and I think it's very, very important. Like, it's very, very important being
Hmm.
able to like be aware of your emotions.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to speak briefly about it. What does it really mean to be aware of your emotions?
Yes, it's being able to recognize them. So uh, for all those who are listening and watching us, I would suggest a really great book which is written by Professor Mark Brackett, and this book gives you a little bit like a framework, and that is a ruler acronym. It's like the bridge, the visual mood meter. It's acronym. It comes from, the first letter is from about recognizing. So notice what's happening in your body. You might all of a sudden feel like warm wave going through your body, or the butterflies in your tummy. So that's about recognizing what is going on. I am frustrated. I feel anger in me. I feel sorrow. I feel bittersweet. All these things. And there are many emotions actually, and one important skill is to at first recognize. So then understand, what ask yourself, what triggered that? And what is this
Mm.
teaching you? What is this telling you? And then it comes to labeling the L letter. So you name the emotion, and that is also a skill which can be learned, because there are so many good resources. Like Brené Brown has written this fantastic book, Atlas of the Heart. So she comes up with 87 different emotions and descriptions of these, and also adds her own stories. So you name the emotion with precision, and then you express. So how do you choose? How do you communicate? How to communicate it? And then comes in the end, regulating. It's basically reframing. It's like, let's imagine you are Miracle. You are walking in a corridor, and someone approaches you, your old friend, but he or she even doesn't notice you. He's like, looks like really serious, and you think that, oh my God, what's going on with this person? And you might feel frustration. Like it touches your ego. He didn't recognize me anymore. What's happening? But perhaps he's in grief. Perhaps he lost parent or someone who is loved, and you don't know. So you might then reframe it from a kind of curiosity hat in your head, that, okay, I noticed that, I observe that he's different today. What is going on? And perhaps you can ask, is there something where I can help, or do you want to talk about something? So that is a ruler kind of acronym. But then what is very useful from this resource is also that Professor Brackett then has invented a kind of mood meter, and this is really actually a really lovely concept. So this is about how, what is the type of the what is the type of the emotion? Is it like energizing, or is it kind of uh, having low or high energy? So, and we have then four quadrants. You know, high energy and high pleasantness could be like energized, lively, excited, optimistic, joyful, pleasant, hopeful. Then we have like low energy and high pleasantness, which could be like content, easygoing, secure, chill, and then on the other hand, there is then low pleasantness and high energy could be like enraged, panic, furious, frustrated, angry, nervous, or then those with have low energy and low pleasantness, like exhausted, drained. And what happens often, what I see in my field in healthcare, is that people who are stretched and overwhelmed, they are like like an instrument string, like a guitar string which is overtuned. There is nowhere to resonate. It's like only this very high pitch sound coming out, and there is a lot of kind of negative energy, and you would like to be in this positive high energy and pleasant quadrant. So just kind of putting yourself into this um, matrix. Sometimes you're thinking, okay, what is this going on in my head, and how does that work? What is influencing? And it is important, because then there is another little kind of element there which I want to point out, which is the most, let's say, simplest model of anything in your life. You can be, there is a line. Just imagine like a black and white picture, in the middle, black line. You are above the line or below the line. And interestingly, these emotions can also be on both sides. And that the lens, the little switch, the toggle in your forehead here, is your self-awareness. So how this is how it comes together. I just explained very briefly. So when you are below the line, you are on defense, you are like negative, you are not curious, you are exhausted, you have low energy, so you are not interested in other people. You are, if you are above the line, you are like the sun shining, you are generous, you are open, you are helping, you are empathetic, compassionate, and that is very different space to be. So that is really important. And regarding these emotions now, these can be also, like anger could be below the line, when you are really like lashing out, you are aggressive, you would like to punch someone, really angry, like you feel it. But it could be also that you are angry, but you're above the line, so you put some boundaries. You stop doing something. You create an action which is more like proactive and less reactive. So when you are reactive, then you're below the line. When you're proactive, you're above the line. And that kind of framework helps you to actually understand how these things work. And you could also create a little, let's say, you can give points to yourself, like how do you recognize? You can rate yourself, like 1 is not at all, 5 is fully. So understand, do I know what triggered this feeling? From 1 to 5. Can I name the emotion precisely? 1 to 5. Express it. Am I expressing it constructively? And then, do I have strategies to stay above the line? So from 1 to 5, how do you regulate? So that gives a kind of, a little tool to develop this self-awareness muscle. And what I see sometimes in my healthcare world is that someone is, when someone is lacking insight. They do something, but they do not really put it into the right context, and they keep doing, and they keep getting the same, let's say, bad outcomes or same conflicts or something like that. But it's happening all the time, and I think that is one of those explanations that they lack insight into their own world, and that would require to stop, take a deep breath, ask yourself, what if this would be easy or simple? I am a great overthinker, so I always think about all sorts of, I'm a little drama queen, or I used to be drama king, let's say so. But now I have learned to be more systematic with this and then just stop, and I hear my little judge in my head telling me some observations or judging me, and then I think that, okay, is that really true? Is that absolutely true? What if it would be different if I wouldn't have that thought in my mind? And then I think, am I now below the line? And I want to be above the line, because life is so much more, you know, so much more pleasant when you are above the line. You notice that people start to smile to you when you walk somewhere, because you are oozing something great. We can't always be that, but most of the time it is a kind of choice. Do you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that actually. I do agree actually.
But is there something you do not agree with me? You
Okay,
can disagree. You can challenge me
so
or ask
okay,
questions.
very good. I think I want to do that. I think I want to do that. Okay, so I mean, there is something that I think I'm really worried about when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to our emotions, and then I think we do experience this very very
Mm-hmm.
often in how we relate and interact with people. And it's, let's say for example, is there is there an emotional reaction or an emotional response that is right or that is wrong, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it doesn't suit the recipient. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
we're engaging, we're talking about something, and I do not like how you treated me. I do not like how you
Mm-hmm.
reacted to us, what we're trying to address. And then I get pissed. And now I do not
Mm-hmm.
hit you, I do not get violence with you, but I become defensive, and my defensiveness is using a
Mm-hmm.
mechanism where I do not respond to you in a way that you expect me to respond. Now,
Mm-hmm.
are there anything that is considered right or wrong? And if it is considered right or wrong, what
Mm-hmm.
makes it right or what makes it wrong?
I would like to say that, okay, it's really good question, right versus wrong reactions. So in reality, there are no such wrong emotions. They are kind of automatic biological signals, but what can be right or wrong in air quotes is our reactions. So that what we do with that emotional energy, and then, like an example. So feeling anger is not wrong. Punching a wall or lashing out at a colleague is unhelpful, probably. Feeling fear is not wrong, but freezing in denial when crisis needs action can be unhelpful. So how do we see that? And I think often what is kind of breaking, what is the brake pedal, is fear of what if something would happen, what if I lose something, like what if I lose my impact, influence, time, power, some benefits, anything. So so then people kind of freeze, or they are not authentic, perhaps because of some internal agenda. But what if you think that fear is actually a positive thing, because it means that you are out of your comfort zone, and then something can happen, something interesting, you can experiment. And if you have this kind of mindset that, okay, I am a work in progress. Yes, I am 62, I'm still a work in progress. And you are right, I am right, we look at the same thing from the same angle, and or different angle. And just give you an example. So if you look at this thing and put like a phone and project a shadow on the wall, you see that it's a line. Okay, and you might say that no, it's not, it's a dot, because you are looking it from that angle. It's a dot. And there is no point of arguing whether you are right or I am right. We both are right. The truth is that this is a pencil, but we see it from different angle. And then what helps sometimes in that situation is like you can ask curious questions. So if you ask like, Miracle, why did you do this? Miracle becomes like on a defense. Oh, he thinks that I'm stupid. But if you ask like, Miracle, I can't understand what made you to come to this conclusion. Explain me, I'm curious. If you can kind of come out from that mindset, like curiosity mindset, that might help to solve many problems and misunderstandings. And if we have courage to ask questions, you can also, like in coaching, we often mirror back or reflect back. So, is that correct what I heard? So this is what I heard, and then you ask, is that correct? Is that what you mean? But sometimes people say, oh, you know what I mean, yeah, but I don't know. Because you have different experience, you have different lens, and then that makes it always more interesting, and that's also one of those secrets in communication, that we have to use our mouth and ears in the same ratio at least. Like listen twice as much as you talk. But some people have a sender on; they constantly talk. There is no receiver. It's tuned off, switched off, and also you need a processor in the middle as well. But and I really like, I have told this to my trainees also, and sometimes you just need to give up and have some sense of humor, and the
Wow.
tool I use is, Sadhguru, Indian wise man yogi. There is this story that he's interviewed, and the interviewer asks Sadhguru, what is the secret of eternal happiness? And then he says that, do not argue with fools. And then the interviewer says that, no, I disagree. And then Sadhguru says, yes, you're right. And that is the best way. If someone wants to be absolutely right, you won't win
Wow.
this battle. But you can say,
Wow.
okay, yeah, you're right. And you can come back later, and you can, when you are calm, and then you can ask, what makes you to come up with that kind of story or decision or view. Explain me your lens.
Wow. Wow.
Usually people are so ego, they have so big ego. If someone is interested,
Mm.
what is the way Miracle thinks, and ask you this question, then I'm sure you would like to tell how do you see things. And we see things from different angles. Yeah.
Wow. 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 I wanted to ask a question. When you said
Yeah.
something about being a drama king,
Mm-hmm.
and I think sometimes we somehow being gaslighted, when we
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes express ourselves for who we think we really are, you know. And sometimes I believe and I am an overthinker when it comes to certain
Mm-hmm.
things. And so I
Yeah.
think deep, I try to give response to
Mm-hmm.
so many questions that come to my
Yeah.
head. And I'm like, calm down, Miracle, just calm down. Just take it easy. So another question is this. Is it is it wrong? How do you respond to people's reaction to accepting what you think about yourself and what you know about yourself without having to try to fit into the image people have about for example, people think it's petty.
Mm-hmm.
You're being petty when you say that oh, I'm a drama king or I
Yeah.
overthink. How do
Mm-hmm.
people really learn to
Mm-hmm.
not really get carried away by people's opinion, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that.
That's a great one. What does it mean to be a drama king or drama queen? It means that you basically you exaggerate, you amplify emotions, and then yeah, it's like it's a term for someone who amplifies emotional reactions beyond what's proportionate, and I think it's sometimes they tend to catastrophize or personalize or seek attention by creating tension, and some people are like that. They are exaggerating small problems. So we see it often in healthcare also, and sometimes we see it in patients. Sometimes we see it in colleagues, and sometimes it's tricky. But I think it's good to put it into this drama triangle concept. Have you heard this? This is like one is victim, poor me, feels powerless and is below the line, no ownership. Then there is persecutor. It's your fault, blames and criticizes and dominates. Also below the line, shuts others down. And then there is this rescuer, let me fix it. Miracle, let me fix it. So jumps in, solves for others, avoids their own discomfort. Also below the line, over functioning. So how to connect them then, or how to shift out from this is that it's like an empowerment triangle. It's like another framework. So instead of victim, you became a creator. So what do I want? What can I do? Instead of persecutor, you become a challenger. I hold you capable and I push you to grow. So that is different approach. And then there is coach instead of rescuer. So asking, what support would you need? What will you try? There is this simple grow framework, for example. So that is kind of, but that also requires self-awareness. The same thing what we discussed, the ruler step, and then taking responsibility, like owning your choices and being curious. So 3 things. So then it becomes easy, and it in real life it's difficult because we swap often between these roles in our real life, and I sometimes recognize, I am a victim, I just want to feel bad, like man flu thing, oh, I feel so sick. And then my wife serves me tea and tells, oh, you're a good boy, you will be better. But I don't like to be in this space for too long time. But it's funny when you actually, when you recognize it and you can see it, and you recognize that, oh my God, I am now this silly victim. Why is that? It's unproductive. But in leadership application, you can have you can see that drama triangle drains teams, blame, burnout, disengagement, and the empowerment triangle then builds, ownership, growth, trust, resilience. It's different. So did I answer your question? It was a long answer.
You answered it perfectly. No, I mean it was perfect. And I think this question it's more personal, but it's for everyone as well too. I mean, it's probably sharing your experience. Is how can someone pause in the middle of the pressure,
Mm-hmm.
and identify what they're feeling and
Mm-hmm.
respond in a better way, if truly there is a better way of responding.
Mm-hmm. How to respond better? Yeah, this is a kind of question which requires stopping for a second. Take a deep breath. You have this choice to react, to jump on this metaphorical train of all negativity, rude people, all the hooks which are trying to hook you in, and then you can decide that, okay, I take a deep breath. I do not need to actually react in this way. So what helps, like what I do, I use 3 deep breaths, and then grounding, like sitting. If you're sitting, you just feel the chair, feel the ground, feel the floor, and then you can put a label on that. For example, I'm overwhelmed, or I notice I'm feeling anxious, and then do this little ruler checklist. So what am I feeling right now? What triggered it? So you create this awareness, and then try to shift, try to get above the line. Am I closed, defensive, reactive, or open, curious, or in am I learning something? And sometimes one of those stress management ways is also that asking this question of, you recognize that, oh, I'm so stressed, my hands are cold and heart is pumping. So what is this situation trying to teach me? How to reframe it? From healthcare, the surgeon is late, the anesthetist one option is that they are totally pissed off, frustrated, angry. Another option is that they take a little white paper, draw a little chessboard, and use ampoules to play chess. Do some fun, you know. Okay, it's surgeon's problem. They talk to the patient, calm the patient down. Surgeon is busy somewhere. They have fun. You know, you're free frame, and you can ask, what is this telling me? Okay, I need to change my attitude and do something different, which is actually giving some fun or turning kind of stress into something different. Uh, so that could be one
Wow,
way.
wow, wow, wow. And I think actually I think so I think that's actually very important for me
Hmm.
because I've had scenarios and situations where
Hmm.
okay, now in Nigeria
Hmm.
sometimes we're very crazy. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
often majority of Nigerians are often very like let me I want to use the right word. I don't want to use a very um, sometimes very aggressive. Sometimes not
Yeah.
all Nigerians, but
Hmm.
basically many people we have because the nation is in hardship
Hmm.
sometimes, and so people just
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
and so how do you think it is best to respond to people who try to trample on you
Hmm.
because they perceive they have a perception or they have an assumption of weakness?
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you think it is okay to respond in a way that feels like gentle, or is it okay to
Hmm.
respond in a way that suits the way they address you?
Hmm. I think aggression at first, if you think what is behind that, it all often masks fear or shame or loss of control. And when you become
Mm,
angry or aggressive, you actually make yourself weaker.
mm.
And it's a it's a difficult situation, obviously, but you can ask a short, open question. You know, what's most important to you right now? So,
Wow, wow.
what can I do to help you? Or sometimes it's best to run away. Obviously, if someone is really angry, so there is no point of because they are so in fumes and it doesn't help. Sometimes someone might need a therapy, and it's obviously making them even more angry if someone shouts on you and is angry like "Arr!" and then you say that sorry, I think sorry sir, I think you need a therapy. Or it's also possible to kind of aggression is contagious, so it's so easy to get also aggressive, but it could be it could be polite way would be that I want to talk about this but I can't while voices are raised. Perhaps that person is not responding to that, but it's it's difficult. It's sometimes really um, difficult, and I would probably run away. Just be fast. So.
I mean, I was speaking to Mr. John
Hmm.
from the U.S.
Hmm.
He was a former police. He was former policeman, but he's also
Hmm.
I think he's the founder of the de-escalation. So he trains companies and individuals in de-escalating
Hmm.
situations. And he made mention of something. He said there's no
Yeah.
rule that says that you have to engage in an
Hmm.
argument with someone. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
if they can't see things your way, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no point being in that argument. And then I think the point made was really right. And so
Yeah.
the other question I want to ask you, which we're coming to,
Yeah.
we're getting close to the end of the
I
section, is that something that yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, so I think it's important that you signal respect and safety. That you can say that I hear you, and this sounds really important to you. So, and then you avoid getting excited yourself and try to be look brave and say that I can see this is really frustrating and you sound angry. Help me understand what's driving this. So
Wow, thank you. That's
that's a
really true.
kind of short, let's say, coaching question. But you see, you can't coach people out from a burning house, for example. Sometimes you just need to
Wow,
take action.
wow, wow.
So, but not to respond with violence against violence. So yeah,
Hmm. Wow, you said you can't coach people out of a burning house.
yeah, because it's like a chaos. you need action, then you just need to shout directions or tell them what to do. But otherwise, you can ask questions. What do you think? What's the issue here? How can we look at this from your lens? What do you see? What's the obstacle?
Wow.
Yeah. Where is
Wow.
uh,
Wow.
where is the underlying conflict? Yeah.
I feel like anytime we're having a section, it always feels like the time is not enough when we're having a section. It's almost time already, and I'm like, I wish we could have another time again. But for the
Yeah.
sake of those who are going to go back to watch the
Mhm.
section, I wanted to like make it
Mhm.
short so that we don't have too much longer. People will find out how to want to like stay throughout. So we're gonna have a last question, and
Mhm.
we'll end this section. And this one, I want to ask this based on human to human, regardless of our skin, regardless of our geographical location. And
Mhm.
if there is one thing you want everyone watching to remember, about handling their emotions and leading themselves, what would that be?
Yeah, it would be the self-awareness aspect, so that just asking this question, that when you recognize that something odd is going on, you behave like you actually wouldn't like to behave, or you respond in the way you do not like, then just stop for a brief second and ask, okay, what's going on? What's triggering this? What am I feeling? And then be with that. It's just a feeling, and it always goes over. And one thing, what is important to know, that in your internal little weather report, there are dark clouds always somewhere, but there is always the sun somewhere behind the clouds. It will go over, and if you can resist the reacting and choose your action, you will be always in a better space. What
Wow,
Victor,
wow.
Victor Frankl said, the Holocaust survivor, that between the impulse and your response, there is this fraction of a second where is the freedom to choose your decision, choose your option. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. It means that we all have options.
Yeah.
We all have
Always.
options.
Always.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. I'm
Thank
really
you.
grateful for making this possible. Really, I'm grateful so much that, I mean, each time I'd reached out to you, I'd always make yourself available, and I'm really, really grateful. But before we let you go, there's a last question which I think I need to ask you. I mean, I thought
Hmm.
I've asked you the previous section before where we had
Yeah.
last year, but I think I should ask you again. You've had experience over this, the span of 1 year, and in your experience so far over the span of 1 year before we had a session with you, after the first session we had with you, what's something you want people should know that you've experienced with other people outside of your field, within your field? What's something you want someone to know that is listening to this and watching this? That is even unrelated to the topic, but something that pertains to life.
Mm. What I would like the people who are here watching this and listening to this is to think that how they can be more curious about other people, just just authentically curious, because that is often the key, which opens up a lot of interesting pathways, and you might learn something, you might experience something. If you just on your phone following social media, it doesn't actually create much anything else than frustration in the end, because you compare other people's front stage with your backstage, which is not very productive. It pulls you below the line. But if you want to be
Wow.
above the line, then surround yourself with people who are better than you, more clever than you, experience, to learn something and be curious about them. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas. Thank you so,
Thank
so much.
you.
So, for everyone who is watching, I feel like you should follow Dr. Thomas on LinkedIn. His name is Dr. Thomas. So, could you please
Yeah.
pronounce the name? I do not pronounce the other name.
Toomas Särev. Yes. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
So, please follow him on LinkedIn. I think he's quite very active on LinkedIn. And he has a lot of content that I believe would really help you as
Yeah.
a professional. And then, yeah, so please follow him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
and then
Thank you.
you'll probably be, you find his profile very exciting and encouraging. Thank you so much, Thomas. I'm really grateful.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Miracle. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be here. It's really humbling. Humbling that you
So,
invited me. Thank you.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank you
much.
so much. Okay, everyone who's just joined us, thank you so much for joining, and thank you much for staying as well too. Thank you so much. Okay, bye bye, everyone.
Bye.